Cool. It looks like we're all set from my end. How's it going, guys? It's your boy Luke back for another PGA live stream. This time we have our Saturday Showdown picks here for the Houston Open, which this is going to be our first true live before lock for something on golf. Obviously, with some of the weather delays that we've had over the weekend, it's kind of thrown the scheduling for this completely off whack. So obviously wasn't able to get a live stream out to you guys yesterday, but the round just about to wrap up. Does look like it's going to be a 1 over cut line. As of right now, they need 4 people to drop to +2 for it to drop there. And I believe there's 4 people left on the golf course. So more than likely going to be 1 over par, which is going to mean people like Tony Finau, Shane Lowry are going to end up getting cut, which isn't great news for me. But in terms of Showdown, it is going to be a little bit of an interesting slate. A lot of people perhaps aren't paying attention, don't want to be messing with some of those guys down low. Perhaps they even have some of those guys at 2 over par in their lineups. I mean, I won't count on that much of the field making that mistake, but it's at least going to be an interesting slate. So let's hop right into it with our preview. First off, with the weather, which is going to look a little bit similar to what we saw yesterday. Benign conditions, 10, 12 miles an hour towards the beginning of the day. It's actually going to simmer down by the time evening comes around. So when the leaders end up finishing up, they're going to be looking at slightly easier conditions than the morning. Of course, that is completely canceled out by the fact that in the morning you have softer conditions. So overall, I expect these scoring conditions to be relatively similar throughout the day. But with that being said, they're not going to be easy conditions. This golf course is only getting harder, right, as it gets more and more baked out, as these greens get firmer and firmer. And you've seen that with the scoring. Yesterday, the scoring was significantly harder than we saw on day one, and even more so this morning. The guys that went out there, it was a complete butchering. I mean, you saw guys like Joaquin Niemann play themselves out of the tournament, Stuart Sink, even Tony Finau that was playing on one of the easiest stretches of this golf course ended up faltering down the stretch. So overall, I do expect some tough conditions here. So a lot of my scoring, a lot of my modeling is going to be slightly more based on around the green here. Obviously, with harder conditions, with these firmer greens, people are going to be missing more. They're going to have to get up and down. And obviously, there's going to be a little bit more skill involved anytime you have fast greens. Let's hop right into the picks, though. We don't have a ton of time here, obviously. So whenever you have Saturday Showdown, I think there's a huge propensity to take the guys at the top of the board. Even especially so on Sunday Showdown, we have the placement points at hand. People try to bake in those guys up top. So knowing that, we can take a guess on these ownership numbers. I don't have Sims out in front of me. I didn't run Sims for the slate, as we don't even know who's on the slate yet, even to this point. For all we know, the cut line could go to +2. I'll keep an eye on it on the side over here, guys. If it does end up looking like it's going to be +2, I'll let you know. But as of right now, all signs point to +1. Either way, though, some of these guys up top perhaps going to be a little bit more chalky than they should be. So we'll talk about a few of the guys I do like, though. First and foremost, Sungjae Im is a great course fit here, especially if the conditions get a little bit tougher. He's somebody who's extremely precise off the tee. He's not going to put himself in much trouble. And you've seen that with his scoring. He hasn't missed many greens in regulation all week. He just hasn't had the putter rolling. That's why he's only 2 under par, which is good enough for 20th place. So I don't know if I want to hold that against him too much. So overall, I expect him to play even better come this weekend, especially if the putter comes around, just because his around the green play, his accuracy off the tee, just his overall well-rounded game really fits this golf course. So $9,800, I like the price tag there. He's a little bit cheaper than he should be as well. So I definitely see myself going to plenty of Sungjae Im. Cameron Smith is intriguing. He's a little bit more expensive. He's definitely going to be a little bit lower owned. So perhaps if you're taking some of the chalkier options down low, which we'll get to here in a second, you might want to take a Cam Smith up top. He's somebody who, believe it or not, has not been putting to this point. He's lost strokes putting on the greens, which is probably the first time we've seen that for over a few months for Cam Smith, typically one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. So I expect that to rebound. His ball striking has been there. And if the putter turns, he's going to put up a 5 or 6 under round at some point. So I definitely think he's still well within this golf tournament and definitely in play for Showdown tomorrow. Matthew Wolff surprising the crap out of me. He might just be back to the form that we saw when he first got on the tour, which obviously he was a world-class player. I was just a little bit, hesitant to get back on him just because of that form. He'd flashed at a few golf tournaments earlier this year for a week or two, and then completely fell off the board again. So for him to come out, for 4 weeks in a row now, really have solid performances, I might be starting to buy back in on Matthew Wolff. The issue here for Showdown is, he's $9,500. He's definitely going to garner some ownership. So you have to make a decision on him, whether you're going to play him or not. Personally, I'd rather go to Taylor Gooch, who a lot of people are going to avoid. He's in that same price tier. He had a horrible day today, hardly going to end up making the cut. But he's a great course fit, right? He's accurate off the tee. He's going to keep himself out of the trouble. He's also good around the green. He's well-rounded, unlike somebody like a Matthew Wolff. It gets it a little bit more done off the tee and on approach, right? He loses around the green, isn't typically one of the best putters on tour. On Bermuda grass, he is, though. He's a good putter on Bermuda grass. I'll give him that, Matthew Wolff. But Taylor Gooch, I'm going to be going to him over Matthew Wolff here. Again, it's a single round slate, right? So almost every single time, if you have two players that are almost the same skill set, they're the same price tag, but one guy's lower round than the other, that's essentially the situation that we have right there. I'm going to go with the one that's lower round. So for me, it was relatively straightforward. Wow, that coffee is really hot. I'm sorry. Whew. I was trying to let it cool down. I made it just before I got on here. And that was a mistake, guys. That was hot. Let's move on to this mid-tier range here. You see we have some guys here that missed the cut and whatnot. A lot of them I played, unfortunately. Russell Henley did not have the best day today, but if this golf course gets harder and harder and harder, it's only going to make him a better course fit here, accurate off the tee, somebody who's good around the green. Is a good fit going into the week. I played plenty of them. I also like him here as well. Mark Leishman is also intriguing. If this golf course ends up getting extremely difficult, if we're talking scores over par, Mark Leishman and somebody like Patrick Reed, to be honest with you, are great course fits there. I'd rather wait till Sunday. I think we might see it be that difficult today. I think it may actually be an over par day. You're looking at average score of like 71, 72 or something like that. But on Sunday, we could see absolute havoc. It looks like there's going to be wind tomorrow. It's going to get even more dry, even more firm and fast. Those guys might be the guys to look at tomorrow. So I'll take a wait and see approach. I'm still trying to take some people that can go out and score. And obviously somebody who fits that bill would be Jason Koprak. He had a very good day yesterday. So for the first 10 holes of his round, he was 5 under par. I believe at one point he was 7 under par. He was up there in third place. Ended up completely going off the rails this morning. That's what I mean. The course was playing so much more difficult this morning than just yesterday. Imagine this afternoon and then imagine tomorrow on Sunday. It's going to be an absolute shit show for these guys. Jason Koprak, not so sure. I mean, it didn't look good this morning, right? So if you're hoping that he go get some lunch, he hits a few balls in the range and figures it out. He's going to be extremely low owned because of that. He's only $8,000. He's a good course fit. He's a prolific driver of the golf ball. He's not only long, but also accurate. I like going there at $8,000. I think you could do a lot worse. Again, we're expecting slightly easier conditions today than tomorrow. I think Jason Koprak on Sunday is going to have severe issues, particularly around the green. But if he's going to have a good day out of the 2 days, it would definitely be today. And actually, we're going to go ahead and build a lineup as we go through here. So we'll get back to the 8K range here in a second. So Sungjae, again, was my favorite play up top. I'm probably going to end up going to Taylor Gooch here at $9,400. That way, Sungjae's going to be relatively popular. We know that, but he's a great play, so we don't want to avoid him. We'll go ahead and take another great play that's just a little bit less popular up top as well, Taylor Gooch, to make sure that we're unique. Down here in the 8K range, Koprak we could go to. I don't think we need to, just because we took a Taylor Gooch already. It can be a little bit more chalky. Mac Homa comes to mind when we talk about chalk. He had a great day yesterday in those tough conditions. So he's probably going to be the number one option that we go to here. Let's talk about this high 7K range, though. So we have some guys here that made the cut. A few guys that missed it, obviously. Shane Lowry to this point. So you can see he's tied for 68th right now. Let me go ahead and do a double check on that here. 1 second, guys. I'm going to see if this cut line has any chance of moving to +2. Because if it does, that's going to change our player pool significantly, because a lot of people are not going to bake that into what they're doing. So there's a good chance that we might be able to take advantage of that. So let me go ahead and check. Again, most likely it's not going to drop to +2. I believe every single person on the course that was at +1 had to shoot over par. So yeah, as of right now, it's going to be +1. I can almost say that with 100% certainty. Somebody that's at even par would have to drop to +2, and then both the guys that are at +1 right now have to drop to +2. So again, not likely. Cool, we'll hop back into it. Sorry about that. That is just important, obviously, right? We have 34 minutes until lock. And if the cut line were to move last second, that would be a huge deal. I mean, Tony Finau would be in the field, Shane Lowry. Those would have been great picks for today. Unfortunately, it looks like they're not going to make it. So, which also hurts my 4-round lineups, but it is what it is. It's a tough week. This is a tough golf course. That weather in round one, really threw things off. Essentially, you were dealing with a completely different custom model for that first day, and then the rest of the 12 tournament was playing exactly like how everyone expected. Difficult. Around the green was important, but round one, it could not matter, right? You were looking at approach play and pretty much approach play only in round one. That's why guys like Jason Duffner, who are, not trying to be disrespectful, they're complete dog shit at this point in their career, had good days. Because if there's anything he can still do, it's, hit approach shots. We're not going to see that the rest of this week. You're going to have a well-rounded game to succeed here. That's why somebody like Ryan Palmer is intriguing to me. He's somebody who's long enough off the tee. This golf course is going to show some teeth over the next few days in terms of the rough. They have not cut it since Thursday. Also somebody who's good at hard conditions. We've seen him at major championships. We've seen him at the Memorial. These greens here look a lot like you see at Memorial over there at Jack's place. I really like the vibes that he would have on this golf course. So we're going to go ahead and knock him in there as one of our picks. We have 2 more slots left, and we're still going to go the whole way to the bottom of the board. But for this lineup, I don't see myself having to spend that far down low, so we'll see. We're probably going to end up leaving some salary on the board. In Showdown, that is probably the best idea. So in a 4-round slate, I'm probably somebody who doesn't leave salary on the table, at least when compared to other people. I play 150 lineups, and I might have 5 or 6 that have more than $600 left on the table. I like spending all my salary. I like trying to get all those studs into my lineups. Over a 4-round sample size, it equalizes more than you would expect. But for a single round slate, I could care less. If I really like 5 or 6 guys in the 7K range, and I don't want to spend up for any stud options, I'll go ahead and do so. So particularly on Saturday or Friday showdown slates where you don't have those placement points, because obviously a lot of the guys in first place end up getting priced up. So on Sunday, it's a little bit of a different story. But for today, I don't mind leaving salary on the board. Mito Pereira, we still have to make sure he makes the cut. So he still should have 1 hole left, or he's just finishing up right now. I don't have the leaderboard up right in front of me right now, but $7,500, he'd be a decent play. It's not somebody I'm going to be going to here. Sahith Theegala is a little bit more intriguing. He's a little bit more well-rounded. He's still long off the tee. He's decent on approach, just a lot better around the green, a lot better putting. So if I was going to go to one of those 2 guys, it would be Sahith for me, but probably not making this lineup. Luke List is somebody that's going to make this lineup. This is a perfect course fit for him. They had his coach on PGA Tour Live earlier on the week. They're actually doing a little interview with him. And he was like, yeah, this golf course is perfect for Luke List. I was telling him during the week, you're going to go out there and you're going to compete this week, blah, 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 blah. Like, they're obvious coach speak, right? You're obviously going to tell your player that they're going to have a good week. But for him to go out on the national stage and say that, it's a little bit different, right? You have to put a little bit of credence behind that. But he's obviously shown that course fit to this point of the week. He's long enough to take this place apart. He's very good around the green. And if there's any part of the game that holds him back, it's the putting. And there's 1 of 2 ways the putting is going for players this week, right? There's certain guys that have it figured out. There's maybe 4 or 5 of them in the field total. One of them being Morton Trainer, one of them being Kevin Tway, one of them being who's in third place. Whoever's in third place, those guys have figured out these greens. They're able to make a ton of putts. And if that continues for the rest of the weekend, I don't expect that to happen. They're going to get much more difficult with the speed and everything like that. They would run away and win it. Everyone else in the field is not making shit. These greens are impossible to read. They have some of the most just tough to read. I can't explain it. There's subtle breaks, right? You're dealing with double breakers, even on some 4 or 5 footers, everything like that. So Luke List, even though he's a dog shit putter, I don't hold that against him. Literally, he's making more putts than some guys like Denny McCarthy. Denny McCarthy up here, I looked at his shots gained metrics. He's hardly gaining with his putting. And that's not something you typically say about Denny McCarthy. He's doing very good with his approach play. It actually makes him a quite intriguing play for Showdown, because if he ends up turning that putter around on these Bermuda grass greens, and he's extremely good on Bermuda grass, he could have a very big week. But somebody like a Luke List, right? He's in that second category. He's in that category where you're not going to care about the putting. And some of these bad putters that get it done elsewhere, that's why you've seen them have some success to this point. So I like going there a whole lot. Adam Long, there it is. Yeah, sorry, forgot who was in third place. Adam Long is an atrocious putter, and he's out there having a great week because he figured out these greens somehow. Again, I don't expect that to last. A lot of these guys that have a ton of shots gained on these greens, it's going to turn around. They're just too tough to really count on them. Keeping that up for the entire weekend. Let's talk about a few guys in the 7K range that we could go to. I think if you want to go to somebody, I don't really like anyone in this range, to be honest with you. I was trying to delay there to find someone. I really don't like anyone in this range, so we're going to go ahead and skip it. I'm not going to force anything, right? Some of those guys are just not good course fits. Dylan Fratelli, though, he was a good course fit going into this week. He's long enough to get the job done. He's extremely skilled around the green. So even though he's not in, fifth place, he's not up there in the top 5 or anything like that, as these conditions get tougher throughout the weekend, he should become even more in play, right? So I really like Dylan Fratelli there at $6,900. As of right now, I'm going to slot him into this lineup. So I'm probably going to end up entering this lineup, to be honest with you. So don't be out there duping me or anything like that. This isn't the main GPP. But you say I have $500 left on the table. I'd be willing to leave up to probably 1,500, even 2,000 on the table for some of these lineups today. But I really do like all these options in here. If there's anybody I was going to change, it would probably be Max Homa, but I like this lineup a lot. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to go and slot some of these guys down in the 6K range that I like. We're not going to enter this lineup or anything like that, but I just want to go ahead and show you some of the guys I would take down low if I wanted to live down here. Wyndham Clark, he was one of my core plays going into the week, so obviously I liked him. I didn't like him this much. I think he's going to be in the top 10 at this point. He's long off the tee. He's decent on approach. He's a good putter. So he's done well on these greens. That's why he's carried himself to the top 10. Boy, is he bad around the green. That's like the number one thing I said about him on the core plays is like this guy, he's hit or miss around the green. There's some weeks where he's some of the best players in the field. Some weeks where he bleeds strokes. Boy, do I hope this is not one of the weekends where he goes out there and bleeds strokes. So we'll slot him in there. Obviously, he's playing well. He's striping the ball well. Brian Harmon, this is a complete misprice. The first time I saw this, I completely glanced over his name earlier when I was going through this. Brian Harmon at $6,800. That does not make any sense. This guy's a great course fit here. He is getting some of the rust off. He hasn't played in quite some time. So for him to go out there, make the cut this time around, he missed the cut a few times ago. I like to see that. Hudson Swafford. The guy is he's a trip. If you take a look at the numbers, it makes no sense. Adam Shank -6. A lot of people are going to go there, right? Because he's $6,600. He's further down the board. He's somebody who's a little bit better on bent grass. He's better on POA as well. Bermuda grass, it's his worst putting surface. This is somebody who's not very long off the tee. I'm a little bit worried about the course fit there. Keith Mitchell's a decent play. He's long enough off the tee. He's decent on Bermuda grass. He's good with his approach play. A little bit worried about the around the green play. So if you're going to play him today. Do not play him tomorrow. With those tough conditions tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit tough to play him, but we'll slot him in there. He's okay for today. Let's see. I don't know. When we start to get this far down the board, a lot of missed cuts, obviously. A lot of people that started with really bad rounds on Thursday. But pretty much anyone down here you could go to, if it fits your lineup. These are complete flyers at this point. If I was going to prioritize anyone, though, again, I'm trying to find someone here, but none of them really, jump off the board for me. MJ Daffou, I talked about him on my live stream on Wednesday. He's somebody who ended up getting in, I believe he was the Monday qualifier, ended up shooting 8 under par or something like that. He's also from the area. He's played this golf tournament before, not this golf course for what it's worth. I liked him before the week just as a complete flyer. At $6,200, it's the same kind of thing over here in Showdown, just a complete flyer. Probably not going to be making my pool, though. Kelly Craft, I would not go there. I think that's fool's gold. Same thing with Martin Trainer. I think that's fool's gold. Both of those guys are just putting out of their minds. There's no way to explain it. They're putting like absolute madmen on some of these greens that no one else is able to figure out. Same thing with Kevin Tway at $6,000, right? So with all these guys high up the board this far down in terms of pricing, you're going to see quite a bit of chalk there. So all you really have to do to get unique, if you want to go ahead to the top, and let me show you what a chalky lineup might look like for tomorrow. Sam Burns is going to be chalk of the century. We know that. Sanjay M, because he's in that $9,000 range, also likely to be pretty chalky. And then Matthew Wolff as well. I mean, Aaron Wise, I think because he's been a little bit off these first few days, might not be as chalky. So if you wanted just to play the absolute chalk, right, people are going to go to these three, and then they're going to try and take some of these really cheap options, 1 or 2 of them, and then maybe take a guy in the 8K range, whatever you can fit into that type of build. All you have to do to get different guys, and it's really not that difficult here, is just take the high 6K guys, right? The guys that are, 1 under, even par, something like that. The beauty of Showdown, especially on Saturday, is we don't have to worry about those placement points whatsoever. So for me, taking some of these guys, it's a good idea if you're taking these chalky people. So go to Brian Harmon there. We can go to somebody like a Wyndham Clark, and then we could finish off our lineup down here. Hudson Swafford, if you really want to go there. I'm not. He's defying all the metrics right now. Or Keith Mitchell. So taking these 3 options, they're all going to be sub 10% owned. Wyndham Clark might crack 10% owned. I don't expect them to, though. Expect a lot of people to go down to that bottom 6K range. And you can have a unique lineup this way. You can spend all of your salary this way as well. Don't have to leave anything on the board. So really just depends on what you're looking for. So we're going to end the live stream here. Thank you guys for stopping by as always. We'll be doing this tomorrow. Obviously, it'll be back on schedule. So I expect to be doing this tonight, probably around 8 p.m. I don't know. We'll see when the golf ends. We'll figure it out. I'll put a live stream notice out on the channel. You guys will get that if you guys subscribe. If you guys hit that little notification bell. So a lot of people always ask, like, oh, I don't get the notifications for the live streams on time. Make sure you hit that notification bell. It's on the screen for YouTube right now. It's right next to the subscribe button. Click that. Every time I go live, you will get notified. It'll be right away. It'll go right to your phone if you guys have the app installed. That way you don't miss any of the live streams. But again, thank you guys for stopping by. Good luck for today.